Right. Greetings to another session, a live session of Divaan Ishq. And this is Alicia, your host, and Louisa equally. So today we have a very special guest who has come before on our Divan. We have Sana, and we welcome you, Sana.
Thank you for having me. My
Instead of
pleasure.
reading your bio, which is maybe not so organic, and you have from that time to today, there has been a lot of shifts. So would you like to just brief us and your audience and the viewers a little bit about yourself before we get into our topic, which is called confusion, or which we have selected as confusion?
Confusion?
Confusion. Yeah, not Confucius, confusion.
Oh, confusion. Okay, that's actually the energy of this week is confusion because of the eclipse that I was mentioning earlier. But yeah, a little bit introduction. I am I'm kind of like a more of a universalist now. I consider myself following all paths as one. I do believe in one creator and that there is a divine force, but we have to sort of align with that divine force as much as we can to kind of manifest things in the physical reality. But I am sort of a kind of a mysterious person, a little bit of a hidden character. I consider myself still an artist, practicing in a different kind of way now, more of a universal way, which is what my intention really was when I did make that shift many years ago at age 33. On my all my identities had to kind of was were stripped away. So I am a spiritual artist, and I'm kind of like a consciousness opener, I would say, in a very hidden way. I live my life in a very kind of mundane kind of I'm a mom and do everything else like normal people do. But as they say, I shift within from within and so without. So kind of in the collective, it happens. Some of us are sort of flag bearers of certain energies that have to shift within the collective to make things happen. So I feel like I play a role in certain areas. I have a little bit of a speciality in certain areas, I feel now, regarding relationships and motherhood and finances and I self identity, and I kind of play on those. I hope to kind of delve more into public speaking a little later as I develop my own self image. But that's kind of where I'm at right now, is just meshing myself in regular society and just being the best version of myself and kind of teaching that to others as much as I can to be also their best version and not limit their potentials in any way. So that being unapologetically being you. And that's kind of what we're all trying to do slowly, slowly. So yeah.
Awesome. I'd like to ask you a little bit about your Sufi background, because that was sort of
Oh yeah.
totally wiped out.
All right. Yeah. So the Sufi background is kind of wiped. It is in a sense wiped out of my identity because now we're kind of following Sheikh Nazim, who is my spiritual guide, still is very deeply connected to those guides, as he used to predict that we are going to be going from an era of being Naqshbandi to becoming Rabbaniyun. And he used to talk a lot about Rabbaniyun, we are Rabbaniyun, which means more of a universal spirit, that we're connected together as one, and that we don't really have these very specific identities that we hold on to. So I'm kind of living that. I feel like that prediction that Sheikh Nazim made many years ago of Rabbaniyun. Um, so yeah, I've have a history of following guides. My other guide is Sheikh Hisham. I feel like he gave me a lot of secrets when the last time I saw him. He had mentioned things about me holding the power of the cane and the secret of the Quran in the sense of the letters, and that I was able to open them as I were painting. And so he, last time I saw him, he praised me a lot. But he mostly said, which I remember, is I have a pure heart. And that sticks with me up to now. The fact that he said, I have a pure heart, that's actually what we're all striving to be, is just a clear kind of innocent mirror of kind of the higher realities. So I'm happy to still be connected to them in a very indirect way, the guides. And I sort of still maneuver my life in a very spiritual way, even though I may look maybe more Western or act more Western. My core is still very, they're kind of doing, let's just say, they do the hidden work now in hidden ways. That's kind of the new reality of this kind of earth now.
That's the way of the Mahdi, by the way.
Oh, really? Yeah. So it's really like that because people nowadays are not into spirituality. People are become very worldly. So we have to kind of go through the cracks of that and kind of get to know the enemy to get to the enemy type of thing. So it's kind of like that. You have to kind of taste what they're doing to be able to first have empathy for them, and then kind of move into their territory like that, and see what their weakness is, and then kind of tackle them. So that's kind of the approach now that's happening, of how to really get into meshing good and evil. You have to almost learn what the evil is, understand it, and then take your good side and alchemize it, and then kind of penetrate. So that's kind of what it is.
That's really potent stuff. And I guess it's a fine line when you mention, mingling with the dark. Like, how do you keep your center when you also surrender to those parts that are shadow, that are like not light? I don't know if you have something to say about that. I'm sure it also to some degree has to do with the pure-heartedness.
Yeah, you definitely have to come from an innocent angle. You have to have a pure heart, meaning you can't be judgmental towards anybody. So the only way you can do real spiritual work is by actually removing all your judgments of others in all ways. So what ends up happening is that you're put into the shoes of sometimes your enemy to see exactly what is going on. So you have empathy for it. And then you can sort of work from that. And that empathy allows you to kind of have an openness to learn and be able to penetrate through the matrix of, because if anytime you have judgment towards anybody, you're creating a barrier in the energetic field to do that actual work of shifting that evil. So you have to almost like have this complete, like clear mirror, like the divine, like God himself has judgment. He has no judgment towards anybody. He is taking care of everyone equally in every way. He sends rain down, it reaches everybody. He sends water, reaches everybody. He doesn't like decipher between that. But punishment hits, sometimes it hits innocent people as well. You see the kind of meshing of that together. So yes, you do have to keep a center for sure. And I think that is something, I think divinely you're just protected. Like with me, yes, I have to do some of these work here and there I feel like I'm I'm kind of in, in certain crowds and kind of like shape shifting. But in the end, I feel like I'm divinely protected in some way, and I always make it alive, or I'm always protected in some way, because when your intention is pure, then yes, you will be always protected, and you'll come out like, oh, okay, like nothing happened, and say, okay, I learned this from it. Okay, let's shape this and shift it in our consciousness, and how could it be better? How could we improve our character when we're in this sort of situation? So I feel like we're in a lot of deep kind of emotional character building right now, even across the whole world. We are not just following Sufism or spirituality at a very shallow level like we used to, like with just rituals and going to zikr, or just reading the Quran, and kind of covering it up by the rituals and the practices of it. You will see a lot of people have very deep emotional and character building issues. They are very ingrained in their egotistical ways. And to break those down, that's kind of what's happening at an individual level still, and at a collective level, that's what's creating all the problems in the world. So that's kind of what we're having to address. Strip away our identities. We're Muslims, we're different religions. All that's being stripped away, and we're trying to build our character from the ground up as a humans. So, you know, and it's different for everybody. So one person's weakness may not be another person's weakness, but we all got weaknesses. So we got to have empathy for that.
Yeah, I just want to say something, that the whole point of Sufism is not so you stay with literally and resign yourself to a group or a specific sort of, you know, community. It's to prepare you and dress you for ambassadorship, for, you know, integration, meeting and greeting the human family. And you said a very key point, in which is judgment. The very first lesson, is just like a little personal note. The very first lesson when I took initiation to one of the few orders that I have that I've been initiated into, when I took initiation with Maulana Sheikh Nazim, which was, you know, one of the greatest Sufi masters of the century, the very first lesson was do away with judgment. That was the very first lesson. And that's it.
Yeah.
And there is no room for that. So we definitely, there is no room for that. And that's where people are struggling, that's where sisters are having a hard time, because many have come from different walks and paths, and they're entering into supposedly spiritual communities where individuals who lack that sort of vast pluralistic idea of what the true teachings of Islam are, have narrowed it down, and they're making it difficult. So inclusion and you know, ritualism, all of that, it's not representing, these people are not necessarily representing the path. Then we have, you know, doors within doors. So this is, for example, a space we offer for spiritual seekers from various paths, not necessarily a specific Sufi order or spiritual inclination or whatever it is, association. It's open, but it's for females. And we're very grateful to have you, you know, once again, be with us and share some wisdom. Our topic, our selected subject for today is confusion. And with all the cosmic sort of influences on the microcosmic platform, where I think there's undoubtedly a sense of confusion, chaos in the external. So following you and befriending you, a lot of us who have been with you for some time, we realize that you also have a very cosmic view on how things unfold in the universe. So, you know, very, you know, as you wish, please share what you want. And this platform is open for all of us to discuss and ask and share equally. So we're here to learn from one another, and also to expand.
It's hard not to have judgment of what's happening in the world, especially. But since my own mystical experience, why I emphasize the whole multidimensional view of life, that's kind of like your third dimensional, your third eye view, which is going to be very different than what you see with your physical eyes. And it's so amazing, because I get inspiration around certain things that happen even in the world, and the little inner wisdoms and why they happen. And it's so crazy how everything is so connected like a puzzle, and you can't exactly understand something from one angle. Say something bad is happening, And you're like, oh, why did that happen that way? But there is another reality to why it's happening and why it's opening in that way, for something else to shift. This is what I'm talking about, that anything that's happening in the world that we're confused about, for example, with all the wars and fighting, there's a breakdown of the human ego at a very general level, and it's going surpassing our races and our religions. So that's kind of what's and also a fight of good and evil, but it goes back to the bigger picture wisdom of what's happening. And if you don't exactly understand that, it's like a mass awakening. If you come from the angle of identities and religions and certain principles, then it all doesn't really make any sense. It's kind of hard to explain. You have to almost let go of all the rules to kind of let it unfold by itself and see. And it's also a reflection of whatever's happening. The confusion is a reflection of our own um, limited mind. So, oh, it's a reflection of our own limited mind. So the more limited mind we have, that is going to reflect in our reality in some way. And the collective has a very limited sense of reality. We operate from a very shallow spectrum, so that's going to reflect in our reality. So as a collective, we're trying to open up our minds to a higher reality, also purify our hearts and our minds and our consciousness, so we can kind of make that shift into more harmony on earth. But as long as we kind of stay stuck, that, you know, in different ways that we are, with this is mine and this is yours and this is how it's supposed to be and this is not how it's supposed to be, then it's always going to reflect on earth in that way until we make that shift. So there's a drastic awakening happening still in many ways with people. And a lot of people are very on board with this awakening and a lot of people aren't. But I can definitely tell you that it stripped away all my identity of anything, of really, like, people will be like, okay, well, do you believe in anything? I was like, yeah, I believe in everything. It's not about me believing in nothing. I actually believe in everything. So whatever's coming my way, I will have the most open mind I can possibly have to allow that reflection of that goodness. And yes, God is good at all times. We also have to remove this idea that God is punishment and God is revenge. And this is very ingrained in the religions all across the board. And I met a lot of Christians also. They also believe God is good, but they also talk a lot about going to hell if you make sins. So if you're going to believe something like that, and a lot of Muslims believe the same thing, you're going to believe that, guess what? You're going to manifest hell on earth, because you have so much ingrained shame in you that is attracting that. Yeah. That it's attracting that. So we have to let go of that idea and embrace each other at the most purest core level, which a lot of us claim we do, but we actually don't deep down. So that's where the work lies. And we're able to do that, then we will have actually peace on earth. Because you got peace within you, then you create peace within, so without. The basic alchemical principles. We're going on these very hermetic alchemical principles, which unfortunately people do not have any knowledge of. They're very religious based, very logical book based. Oh, this must be like this. But there's universal principles that the world is governed by. If you start to understand those, then you can really make those shifts. So, and it's a lot to do with the cosmic polarities. Once I had seen this vision that the whole world was like a yin yang, there was the dark and there was the light side, and it was all one. And so they both play a part in each other. So as long as we can kind of not be afraid of the evil, I think then we can kind of look it in the eye and embrace it, and the more we're going to be able to actually eliminate it. It's an ironic paradox, but that's how it works. So that's cut off. I can't say anything else. Oh, my friend Noor, I was actually gonna say, I was making an intention. Let me go visit her today. I haven't seen her in ages. There she is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's dissolving and bringing pure identities. A lot of shame, a lot of guilt. See, like my son carries this thing, or he carries this thing around, not guilty. And I see it every day. It's like, in what ways do we still think we're guilty in some way of something? And even Muslims also have a lot of shame within them in some sort of way, because we're programmed to think we're big sinners, that we can't have fun in life, or we have to be principled in this certain way or this certain way, and live by society's kind of norms or religion's kind of norms for us. But it's all what you feel comfortable with in the end. And you know, it's not about leaving your principle. You still have to have a very spiritual center. This kind of what I sometimes people might get confused with me, and they think that maybe I'm all over the place just because I'm not like them in that religious way. But I'm a very spiritually principled person, and I'll see all the red flags. And we're very good with boundaries when it comes to our self-respect in certain ways. So it's not about letting go of and just letting people walk all over you. It's not about that at all. Actually, you build a lot more stronger boundaries when you're more aware. People can't mess with you. They call it, you can't mess with Texas. So, you know, it's kind of a paradox. You let go and you embrace it all, but you also have very sort of strong barriers of protection, because you're so aware of what is right and what is wrong in that sense, and what is toxic and what is not. That yeah, it's ironic, I would say. A lot of things are very paradoxical and ironic in the way they work. They work in opposites. So if you can kind of embrace the opposites, then you can sort of mesh with allowing things to work out better for you. And even if they don't, you're still protected in the end, because your intention was pure. So whatever situation you may get into, as long as your intention is pure and for the highest good, no matter what, you will make it out protected in some way, and you'll benefit from it. So the other person's experience with something may be very different than yours, depending on their way they look at things in consciousness level. So again, it's all about, as continuing from our last discussion, everything stems from your consciousness level. And that's kind of what's happening at a mass level, is we're trying to rise up in our own open-mindedness and consciousness to allow those shifts of more peacefulness to occur in the world, where we're not so bogged down by specific identities, especially. So, yeah. Anybody else want to speak?
I just wanted to comment and say that it's almost like worshiping these identities, which are basically worshiping these entities.
Hey, that rhymes. Yeah, the identities themselves are like entities. You're creating them, definitely. Or they're entities that are attached to identities, for sure. Yeah. But hey, you're a gauge of your own reality. If you feel like you're happier, you're more freer, you're living a better life than you used to, maybe not the same as you used to be living. Like, for example, with me, yeah, sure, I live in a smaller place, or I and don't have that happy marriage, and I'm single, or whatever it may be. That's, you know, there's certain things we gauge as measures of success in our reality, but it all really depends on you yourself, how successful you feel deep down inside, and how content and free you feel and happy. So whatever that, if you feel like you're more happier and more freer in that sense, then I think you're making progress. in whatever way you are. So, and your outer will reflect that. So, because I've seen a lot of people, they'll be very, very on the principles, you know, the religious laws, and they're like, no, if you don't do these things, you won't have a good life. But actually, some of those kind of people have some of the worst lives, because they're attracting negativity, because they come with that "this is me and this is you" approach. So they're already creating barriers of the universe to come in and help them in some sort of ways. They're letting their pride come in the way, and the pride itself is a barrier. Religious pride, or whatever kind of pride you want to have, it doesn't allow for the universe to work through you, because you have to be very open to allow the universe, and that essentially is God Almighty. The universe and everything is one thing. It's working through everything. It's not God is up here, and he may be up there as this one higher being, but he's also penetrating through everything, like from the paper to the person next to you, to the air, to the food you eat. So you have to integrate the divine in everything that happens to you at a very, very core microcosmic level inside, you know, and be in tune with it. So yeah, that way, that's the only way to kind of let go of a disappointment and depression, I feel, because if you understand that everything is God, then you won't be actually depressed, because you always get back to you'll always have that realization that, no, this is God working. He's doing something. I may not understand it through this person or the situation, but it's God working. Let him do his work, and I'll be patient with it. And I'll have a higher vision with it. And then guess what? Things shift so fast that you didn't even realize that there was a problem. So it's all about your own inner energy. It's all about energy work that allows for certain shifts to happen.
So
and
there's a
then
lot of
problems just disappear.
Yeah.
Impossible becomes possible so fast. Kun fayakun, and it's all energy work.
There's a lot of unlearning required on the path. There's a lot of unlearning, because we come in with conditioning, and like you said, these conditionings are masks, and they're creating this dualistic sort of separation from that energy of oneness. So there's a lot of unlearning required.
Yes.
So there's a lot of letting go, like a conscious letting go, that I really don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I used to wonder about this, because I have a history of studying Islam, studying the Quran, so very detailed, such a detailed way since I was a teenager, and the way I used to do my work, and how I used to study different religions and spirituality. I was very deeply ingrained in it. But what happens with people like us is we get so deeply ingrained in it that we understand it's actually all the same in the end. Then you get to the core of it. So you have two categories of people: the ones that are kind of the innocent poor ones that don't really get anything, and they'll follow everything. And then you have the masters of certain things, masters in physics, masters in whatever they are in their field. But we all come to those type of people all come to the same conclusions in the end, all through all that technical, very advanced mastery, that there's very simple truths to things, and they understand those. So I kind of wonder why I went through this whole process of learning so much, learning like fiqh and everything I was so involved with. I was such a dedicated student, even with my Islamic religious studies, so like dedicated. I would go on a bus for 2 hours to the imam to learn the secrets of Arabic letters. More than anybody could possibly understand why I needed to do these things. All to let go of it in the end. It's like, what just happened here? It's like when I had my awakening at age 33, I had to let go of all these things. It was like a death. My ego death happened, and I have a lot of paintings with the phoenix rising. And I've met so many people that have died at age 33 recently this week. And I had my coworker had a birthday at age 33. I was like, oh, you're going to go through some death this year, some sort of a transformation where you're going to have to let go of things and change in some major way. I really believe that. And then even Christians, they believe Jesus died at age 33. He died in many ways, right? So it's a reflection. So yes, I had to let go of all those things that I learned. I was like, wow, what was the point of that? But I don't feel like there was, I feel like there was definitely a point. I have it downloaded all in me. It's there, but it's just hidden. It's just something that I carry around with me. And I have my Sufi sort of understanding and core within me, but I'm kind of working at a level of just regular people of regular society and just integrating with them, like integrating with the janitor, like thinking you're the same. How could a learned religious person think that the janitor is the same as them? No, you're going to have that barrier. You're going to be like, this is me, and oh, this is just janitor. You really got to believe that you're just like the janitor. Do you really believe that? Are you really as humble as what you claim? No, you will be tested. That means you need to be stripped of all those things that hold you back, that you have collected. And religious knowledge and these things are collections of a dunya in some sort of way. Spiritual realities, yes, are different, but yeah, boy, oh boy, was the unlearning part phase pretty intense for me. I remember I went through some years of that. Some years. I remember it took slowly letting go. Okay, do I have to really let go of this part of me? Okay, this part of me. And now I'm at a point where I'm doing like universal themed paintings, like I'm doing trees, and I'm doing like, like Thanksgiving theme, okay, and yesterday I did a boombox, a music 90s theme boombox. I was like, what is exactly going on here, so I introduced myself even in my classes as I delve in the art of, my speciality is in Arabic Mandela art, and I'm like spirituality. But my new thing is just following on trend and being cool. So I've kind of made this shift into really becoming like everyone else and really putting myself in those shoes, because really in reality, I am like that. I've always been like that growing up in Canada and Vancouver. I have been always like fashionable and on trend and trying to follow what's cool and everything like that in between and what's fun, right? So I kind of play on those themes, and that's kind of become my more my new passion, is to kind of integrate in that way, and build from there. And I'm like wondering now, okay, what kind of paintings can I do? So my new thing is, what kind of paintings can I do that everyone will like? So this is like the new thing. We gotta create paintings that are very unisex, first of all, that everyone in the audience will enjoy painting. And that's hard to do. Coming up with a painting that someone's not going to be picky about. Oh, this is too specific. So I'm being drawn more and more, even with my art now in my new face, to kind of come to open myself up to more universal themes. So, so it's like that. Yeah, and then you will rise. You will rise like the phoenix. Like you've probably seen my hoopoe bird on Mount Samur. So this one is the bird that is Bismillah, and it has the Suleiman seal, that verse of the Quran that talks about the Suleiman seal right on the top of his head. So on his head is where his consciousness is. That's kind of like I call this the Einstein bird, because that's he's risen in that way, and he's got that key of the heart in his chest to open that for him or her. And he's up on the mountain because he defeated his or her. He's at the peak of the summit of his awakening, and he's embraced it, and it's the new beginning. So it's kind of like that. We're having that right now during this eclipse moon. I'm finding a lot of things are really drastically shifting, and things are cutting off with certain people even more. And you just have to kind of embrace the changes and be okay with them. The more we're embracing the changes that are okay with them, the more we're going to allow the benefits of those changes in. But as long as we kind of hold on to the past and how things used to be, the more we're not going to allow. Our cup is kind of already full. We're like, okay, this girl, she just wants the past. So her cup is already full with the past. How can we fill it with more things, right? How can we fill it with new water? You have to be able to let go and throw away that old water to allow the new water to come in. Is just, we're vessels in that way. We have to be open to the new all the time. And I feel like a lot of us get stuck in holding on to what we have and being okay with it, and then never letting go of it all our lives, and then we never get new. But if you learn the science, that the more you kind of let go, and I feel like I've been really good with that. I'll make a painting. I used to make a painting. I would forget about it the next day. Okay, move on to the next. I had this like constant stream of creativity that would always come. And I was always going from one painting to the next painting to the next painting, and not even worrying about what I did. And now I have such a huge collection of paintings without me even realizing that I made so much over the years. But I never held on to anything that I did. And even so, my problem right now is I don't have that sense of identity of actually appreciating it. Now I got to bring it back and then materialize it so others can enjoy it. So I'm working on bringing my identity back in that way. But yeah, I feel like I'm talking too much. Anybody else want to say anything?
You're not talking too much at all. It's very, it's a lot of enlightening things. I've had, shivers up and down my spine
Yeah.
for the time,
Got
but
me talking. So
but
yeah.
I was wondering, since there is a lot of confusion, both, macrocosmic and probably for everyone personally, and like energetically, confusion to me feels like there's some form of a block that, usually there is a clear way, but we're not allowing ourselves to see that clear path. So what are ways that we can move, into that abundance or into that kind of energy flow that you're describing, when we let go and we allow things to come? Because that is the clarity, and that's the flow, and that's the way of love, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, the way of love. You said it. Yeah, again, like being open-minded, releasing the judgment. If something is confusing you, like, anybody have any specific examples of what's confused that they're that they're facing, that is confusing in their lives right now, that we could kind of go on? And then we can kind of create a little example of how to kind of open it up. She does. Did you whole life is confusing at this point? Oh, that's so funny.
That's why you're here with Sat.
Oh man, I thought this session was about Confucianism. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we have a quote by our prophet Confucius. We do have a quote by him, but
you do?
In our
what was that quote that you had? What is it? Let's read it.
So you liked it. Okay. Hold on. The wise never doubt, the humane never worry, the brave never fear.
Oh, I love that.
So doubt, worry, and fear, essence here is what he's
yes. Yeah. So that's all it's about, like releasing your judgments towards anything and just being brave and just moving forward. God is good all the time, and just really believing that. You really have to kind of get at your core belief levels when it comes to different things that you're having issues with. For example, if I'm having an issue, say, with something specific in my life, say is coming from relationships, it's coming from the angle of relationships or ex-husbands or whatever, I really got to break it down and be like, okay, how am I making this other person my enemy by my own self and my own beliefs about this person? Yes, I got to take it always back to myself and be trying to fix my core belief about whatever I believe in. Okay, actually, when you actually start to ponder on what you're believing, you realize you're actually believing in a lot of negative things, more negative things than positive things. Okay, just kind of listen to your own thoughts. You have to be, this is a very constant battle you have to make all the time. You're in the kitchen, kind of reflect on, okay, when you're cooking, what you find that you're actually, it's a default position to go back into the negativity about things. Why do we always do that? We're like designed as humans to go on negative mode on by default. So you constantly have to kind of, this is what it's all about. You have to become aware of your mind. Okay, I'm thinking this, but is it actually really happening right now? Or am I just stirring up a soup that hasn't actually happened yet? A lot of times we conjure up things in our mind first, and guess what? Then they happen. So in a lot of ways, yeah, they're predictions of something that's going to happen. And I've had that where I'll have something, but it will bring it to my awareness that this needs to be transmuted into something good. How can you look at this in a positive light? And then it will either fizzle out, or it will be less of a burden than I anticipated once it does happen. But it all starts with myself in creating that openness and not believing in the worst possible outcome a lot of times. And even if there is something bad happening, then you have to kind of look at, okay, well, this happened. What weakness do I have inside me that I could possibly shift to make this better next time? You know, say it's a relationship with my son. I have 2 sons. I got to constantly put myself in this mode of believing in them, believing in how things are happening for the higher good. A lot of times we don't understand it because we have a one-track mind and we're so programmed to make them be doing certain things like regular people. And I've kind of let go of that, so I was like, okay, you know what? We plan, but God plans better. So we kind of have to go by that. But confusion. Yeah, confusion. I don't really know. There must be modes of meditation to get rid of our more logical mind that sort of processes things from the lower way. Because we have a very human way we like to look at problems. And I've noticed myself, even though I'm a very high consciousness person, I shift from both all the time. Oh, we have hormones. That's funny. Yeah, I've noticed as women and stuff, we shift into these negative and positive kind of ways of looking at things all the time. I've seen like, oh, okay, I have to become aware of this. I'm doing this right now. I'm complaining about this right now. Okay, fix it, and then think like this. This is how it could possibly be, and just keep that vision and clear your energy field of any sort of attachments. And it all also goes back to how attached we are to things that allows us to master things more. And that's all ego training. There's a good writing prompt. What did she say? Writing prompt. Yeah, affirmations or however your practice is to kind of always go back into that positive way of thinking. And it's not cheesy. Positive, think positive. Yeah, how many of us actually don't practice that? It's very hard to practice. These very simple principles are very hard to practice. So confusion. What else could be confusion? Anybody else have any examples of what's confusing in their life right now? I want to build on what's happening in your guys' life, that we can kind of open up the channel for how to allow less confusion in those areas. Anybody have anything that they're particularly confused about? Is it more to do with what's happening in the world, with all the wars? And
I struggle to formulate what I mean by like I feel confused. Oh, but I guess Assalamu alaikum everybody, first of all. But I'd say that when I say I'm confused, or when I feel confused, it's more about how do I navigate this life really, you know? How do what is what is guiding me every single day? What is keeping me going? You know, I am confused
right.
about what am I even doing here, you know? And how
Oh, like your purpose or what
yeah, I
you're
guess so.
supposed to
I guess
do?
you can call that like that. Yeah.
Oh,
Welcome,
yeah.
welcome.
Sorry, it's my niece that wants to show me her hair. So she's like,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Nice.
confused about, yeah, where am I getting to? Where am I coming from? What do I take with me? And when you talk about this idea of letting go, I feel like I keep hearing this, you know, and I keep hearing this idea of letting go. But then the question is, what does it look like? You know, for me, what does it look like for me to let go? And what am I
Yeah.
supposed to let go of? And um
Yeah.
I feel like I intentionally want to let go, but then it seems like I'm not letting go. And it's like, well, what am I doing then? So I'm confused about what is the process of just living
Yeah.
really, you know?
So, like, if you were to reflect on where you were, say, a few months ago from now, have you made any improvements or a lot of different shifts have happened in your life that you're wondering about? Like,
A lot of things have changed, and
a
I'm
lot of
sure they've
things have
changed for the
changed.
best, but that's my understanding, you know,
Yeah.
where yeah, a lot of things changed, you know, just me moving from a place to another, first of all.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. So you're confused about why you had to move to this place, or you're
yeah,
okay?
I'm
You've come to
confused about
terms with
how I
that.
feel like um I thought I had reached a point last summer, where I was more comfortable with who I thought I was, you know, in a way.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to explain it, but I guess I had this phase where I was like, well, you know what, I'm not what I thought I should be, because I was programmed to think, you know, first daughter in a Muslim, very conservative household, where I thought, well, I have to be all of these things. And I think last summer, I felt like I was like, you know what? Actually, I might not have to be all of this, and I don't want to be all of this, and I don't want to pretend that I want to be that or that I am that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I feel like, well, life said, well, you know what? Let's see if you're really ready to not be all of that. So I ended up moving back into my family, you know, and then I sensed that maybe there's a resistance in me to just fully own
Yeah. Right.
whatever my experience is, you know, somehow.
Yeah. Trying to let go of that old version of us is oh so hard sometimes.
Even when relating, when you talk about relationships as well, I feel like there are so many ways in which I thought I was not getting better at it, but like relating in more healthy ways. And then I find myself just going back in the loop somehow, you know,
Yeah.
where I'm like,
What
well,
specific
I
issue?
thought
Yeah.
I was done with this side of me, or and
Yeah.
well, here
Yeah.
it's still here, you know.
Right. What specific issues you having with in terms of relationships that you deal with within yourself that come out if whatever you're wanting to share?
I think the fear of intimacy, you know,
Okay.
the fear
Oh,
of
like getting close to someone, kind
getting
of keep
close to someone, yeah.
like just staying within the sort of honeymoon phase with someone and not building beyond that.
You know what? Not even just romantically. Like I think at all in all levels of relating.
Oh,
Just
right.
a
That's a
fear
big
of
one.
like feeling safe, like it's okay to just be here, you know, in this
Yeah.
relationship. And not feeling like,
Right.
oh my God, they might discover that actually I'm the devil. You know, this whole I think it's a lot of things that you just I don't know where you get it from.
Yeah, I think yeah, this eclipse also is supposed to be focused, relationship focused, and how we see relationships. It's supposed to kind of get more at the at a deeper shift with how we see our relationships in our lives, and just going deeper with them and not being afraid. And I think it's a lot to do with how comfortable you are with yourself, that allows you to be more deeper in your intimacy with others. And just being sharing, and being honest, and communication is such a huge thing with people nowadays. I'm getting to know this even with men, how they have a lot of issues around communicating. There's a whole collective sort of field of men who just don't want to communicate their intimate feelings, and they rather, as they say, the term ghost. It's a very popular thing that happens in relationships. Before they get deeper, they will just disappear. And I'm like really curious about this phenomenon, why men do this ghost.
I don't think it's only men ghosting.
Well, women do it too, yes. And we're kind of like at a shallow, like I've been hearing these terms like speed dating is the new culture here, and just people just wanting flings, and this is in our relationship culture. It's very ingrained right now, where people don't want to have relationships. It's more about the open kind of field where wherever the wind takes you type of deal. You know? So I'm actually really focused. I'm very fascinated by this culture that I'm discovering in my kind of spectrum. And I'm trying to break it down. Why is this happening? And why is people are running away from monogamous relationships more and more, and are having issues with that, and are not able to kind of build with one person? But I think it's kind of like I don't know what it is, kind of a fast-paced, we live in a very fast-paced reality now, and it's very different, and people are become much more shallower, and they can't build deeper connections with people. Well, they're afraid to go deep within themselves because it hurts too much. So they kind of keep everyone at a surface level, I guess. I don't know. I think this is all comes back to our own inner work, like the amount of time I spend by myself and reflecting on myself and how to improve. I think that's kind of what my whole spiritual kind of identity or my energy has gone over the years. It's went from the outer collecting to just always going back to myself and doing that inner work to be able to attract whatever I'm wanting. So let's go around and express the confusion. You are what? I didn't see the sentence. Anybody can read it?
Let's go around and express the confusion you are experiencing. Name one thing.
Yeah.
So everybody,
let's do that. Let's get everybody else involved here. Confusion. Oh man.
So for example, Wisat, you mentioned, for example, mainly relationships, or what would be that one thing that is predominantly something that you are currently confused with?
I'm confused about this idea of letting go. I'm confused about this idea of embracing yourself, really. I think that's the, and allowing just yourself to be,
Yeah. Yeah, letting go. That can be hard, yeah, because we're so used to things happening in certain ways that we almost have to program ourselves daily to get out of those habits. It's like habit breaking, identity breaking. It's not easy. I wish there was some sort of magic therapies we could go through to just, voila, you're a new person tomorrow. But But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Maybe there's hemi-syncing of the brain that you could do to just magically happen.
You know what? I wonder, like, do you ever have a point in life? Is there a thing where when you were talking about the glass, being full of something, and so it's not possible to fill it up with something else because it's already full and you don't want to let it, you don't want to spill the water,
Yeah,
new water.
right.
I wonder, is there a point in life where God forces it to happen, and where you can't really escape? Because
yeah, I think that's happening to a lot of us. It's happening. It's like God is like, okay, you're not gonna do it yourself. Okay, I'll pull the rug under you.
Do you find, well, you know what? I'm just waiting for that moment because I'm like, I'm not there. I don't have the strength
Yeah,
to build
yeah,
glass and be like, I'm done with all of this. I just
yeah,
don't have that strength. So I'm like, when are you helping me? Because
yeah.
I'm not doing it.
And sometimes sometimes God helps in that way by removing the rug under your feet. Yeah, you might get a little hurt, but
Yeah,
in
but
the
at
end,
least
you
it's
like get up
done,
and you're like, hey, wait a minute, the floor under this was so much nicer, and I was hiding it under this stupid rug the whole time. It's kind of like that. It's like, see, I told you, all you had to do was remove that ugly rug under you, and there, voila, there was a nice floor under there. Yeah, so it does happen forcefully sometimes, unfortunately, because we also go by very cosmic shifts. We follow energetic shifts even in the cosmic way. So for example, I was talking about the eclipse happening. That brings a lot of sudden shifts. So depending on our own level of how much we've done that work already and how behind we are, the stronger the sudden push is going to be, depending on how much work we've done already. So if we have been sitting lazy on our ass on the couch and stayed in our comfort the whole time, guess what? Your shift is going to be a lot more. It's going to hurt a lot more because it's going to be a lot more intense. But if you consistently make those shifts, then it's easier. But I think what I'm hearing from you, it's like you're getting confused about a lot of the ways you're changing, and you're not embracing the way things are changing in your life because you're not understanding. It's confusing to you because you're holding on to your past identities, say with your family being a certain way, conservative, and you're becoming this new kind of woman and very different from all that. And it's kind of, you're just like one step forward, one step backwards. Like, should I be doing this? Is this misguided? Is this the right thing for me? um and I often used to think that too about myself. Am I misguided? Am I going really off the radar, where I'm exploring this sense of new me, and I'm not practicing as much? I'm not, I don't have that religious identity like I used to. Am I really being misguided? But every day I see things in my that prove to me, hey, wait a minute, I am so protected of what's happening to me. It's crazy. I see good things happening to me all the time. And me and my sister have this discussion almost every my sister that lives in Vancouver, and she's also going through a identity shift, just like me. And a lot of times we fall into that doubt, like, are we doing the right thing? Are we doing the right thing to leave our job? Or like, she used to be a nurse, she let go of her job to embrace her art skills. I was like, and start like an art line. It's a very different shift she's had to make, and she's just kind of embracing it. But sometimes we doubt that because we feel like we're supposed to do what we used to be doing. But I think there's a constant identity shift in some sort of way, where we're being shifted from, okay, now you're comfortable with this, now you've grown in this area, okay, now let me move you into this area, and then now try this, something new. Now you can grow from this. And then once we've kind of mastered that, we're kind of comfortable with that, guess what? Another improvement comes. You got to hop onto that boat, and we got to make that improvement, hop into and then we're kind of making these shifts in our world that are helping us build our character and build our skills that may be very different from each other. So it's like you just gotta just hop into those different boats as they come, I think. Because I don't feel like I can control that. The kind of identity shifts are being made in my field. I'm kind of I have a set intention of who I want to be, but then I let things around me kind of open, and as they open, the more easier they open, okay, I follow that. I take them as signs to move in that direction. So that's kind of how I guide myself. Whatever kind of is part of the flow of life, you kind of see that what is creating resistance of something that you're trying to be. If there's some sort of chaotic resistance to it, then it's not ready to shift in that way. You're meant to do something else. So you kind of have to see what is naturally opening for you day to day in everything that you do. And you go by that, and you kind of have to be very aware from every moment to see where you're being shifted in. And as long as you have a good intention that you'll land in the right boat in the end, guess what? You will land in the right boat. Even if you have to go through the woods and up the mountains, you'll get there. So don't worry about that.
You're such a leprechaun. Okay, now look at this. If we were to imagine, I'm just gonna speed it up here. Speed chatting. If we were to assume this reality that our life as it unfolds, we're never supposed to be stagnant, because energy is not, living energy is not stagnant, is it? Is there such thing as a weather condition that can be like flat one thing? I don't think so. Not sure about Antarctica, but the rest of the places, okay? But if we assume that our life is our personal scripture, and this is the flawless scripture, and everything is unfolding by divine grace, divine wisdom, divine will, then what's the issue? It's like the scripture is flawless. It's the interpretations we are having an issue with, right? It's all these people who have misinterpreted the Quran, for example, or the Bible or whatever. We're having an issue with that. That's the issue. It's the misinterpretation. So if we kind of let go of these interpretations of what happened today, I bumped my toe and, why did I bleed? And I had my, pedicure last night and, whatever, I don't know. So we don't have to try to always decode everything by a certain timeline and just let things unfold. I'll give you my personal little mini clip here. For the past few months, I've just been in travel mode, and I've had friends who cannot keep up. They're like, where are you? Working with different time zones. I said, I've been planning, for example, I've been trying to plan, but the universe is teaching me, no, sorry, it doesn't work that way. You're going to plan, and it's not happening that way. So I've been having a very unpredictable sort of way of living for almost a year or so. And I realized that anytime I try to get into anything concrete in my personal learning, it's not happening. So I started looking at, for example, even travel as, okay, it's the actual land, the grid lines, the ley lines that are calling me, and I'm being called by the land, and I'm accepting that with no agenda. It's like, okay, there's a to-do list. What am I supposed to do? Is there a mission for me? None of that. Just scrap that. Just let things unfold by the day, and then there's no appointment. That's how I'm sort of managing the confusion of shifts, like, rapid geographical shifts. And I've sort of just surrendered to that by saying no plan, and just when something's going to happen, it will. I mean, really doesn't make sense in a worldly sense, but that's how I'm sort of, and I'm not stressed. There are friends or people I'm dealing with who are stressed with that, but they can just stress off. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't matter to me.
yeah, when you
Yeah.
think about it, does the stress help you? Does it actually help
I'm
you?
not stressed, though. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And they're
I'm not-
stressed that I'm not stressed.
yeah.
So
But
I'm
the
just like,
stress of something, the stress of something is just part of the mind. It's actually doesn't help you. It actually makes things worse.
yeah,
So we have to program ourselves to, yes, just surrender. And
yeah.
a lot of things, sudden shifts happen, sudden things start unfold, and sudden events just appear, and you're like, oh, okay, I had no plan 2 hours ago, but now I do. You know, I've had so
Yeah.
many times things will like that happen to me. You know, um, so
So
yeah, I love
surrendering
that.
to our scriptures. I surrender to my scripture.
Yeah,
Who else? We're going around
embrace the
or
flow.
in whatever direction. Mehtab.
Embrace the flow. It's so hard to do, though.
What do we have? I'm gonna read Mehtab's because I want to try to, you know, keep the timing.
You have become the flow. Oh, that's another thing my guide told me once.
The Piscean.
You have become the flow. I was like, yes, I do feel like I'm part of that flow. There is a universal flow that everything moves very smoothly. And guess what? You got to be like water to be able to do that. What are the properties of water? You got to mold in whatever shape or form in the moment. That's what water is. So if you can't do that, the more solid you are, I used to talk about this a lot. The more solid you are, hey, the more you're gonna bump into everything and create problems. The more malleable, like Play-Doh you are, the more you're gonna be able to embrace whatever's coming at you. And guess what?
Yeah.
That's the creative spirit. That's why I tell everybody, ultimately, the best skill to have in life is creativity. Okay, because anything that throws at you, you'll be like, oh, I could do this with it and go this way or under this or this way, and then you're, hey, nobody can. You're like the gingerbread man. Can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. I used to say.
Well,
You
I
know?
mean, you basically you do embody that, and I'm gonna confirm it here because I usually work with the heads up last minute thing, and that's just my thing. And I'm being called a trigger maestro apparently. So now, because our paradigm is very, you know, schedule based and all of that, and people are running their lives on that, and then something happens. So I told Sana, I think it was last night, I just said, you're on our divan tomorrow, and this is the time. And she's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I
because
know
I
last
trust.
minute there are people who don't work with that. So
Yeah, no, because I trust that the time is open for me because it was planned for me to join your meeting. I'm trusting that phenomenon that is already written for me to do it, right? So you're just coming, even if it's last minute or it was a month ago, it's still the same. It was already written. It is, you know, so it's just a matter of just being flexible with that, you know. What do you have to have a schedule? Yeah, if I had a schedule, then it wasn't meant for me. If I had something planned at 9 already, then it wasn't meant. And I would have told you, or maybe another time. But the fact that I was open, I said, why not? This is God's way of making me say something today, and then why, take advantage. I've always taken the opportunities as they've come. I'm not someone who just sits there. If I get an opening, I'll be like, oh, I gotta go in that direction. I
so
am
your life is exciting, correct?
I think it is, yeah, but I follow a lot of discipline too. Like with my job, we have certain instructor timetables. We got to be there a certain time. I'm actually obsessed over the timing most than anybody does. I'm like, okay, I got to be here 1 hour early. Okay, and some days I'll be, and my managers have got to get to know me better with this. Yeah, I plan it. If I'm there 15 minutes a little late, hey, I'm already ahead of you. I've already done the job that I needed to do for those 15 minutes. And if I am 15 minutes late, I'll do it faster. I know how to maneuver the time. It's not always about oh, you got to be here 1 hour. I used to get in trouble with that. You got to be here 1 hour early to set up for the class. Okay, well, hey, didn't I get it done though? You know, I got it done even if I was 10 minutes late, or I'm some days 10 minutes early. Just don't worry about it. You know, it will be done. You know, sometimes we worry and then we waste more time, because guess what worry does? Worry, the energy of confusion, these are lower. Time is against you when you're in that energy. Okay, it's all about the understanding energy. When you are confused, you are worried, guess what? You're attracting more chaos in your field of experience. You're attracting more worry, things that will create more worry and more confusion. So guess what? You got to get out of that state, go into peace of mind, whatever your practice is, whatever that may be, to calm you down and kind of center in your peace of mind. And you will see, okay, finally it's opening for that confusion to be lifted, because confusion is down here on the spectrum of energy. You're confused, you're going to be here, and everything is kind of going. As you go up, it's more harmonious and more smoother. So the more you can rise in your consciousness to be in that awareness of being more peaceful, guess what? Everything is going to work smoother for you. Yeah, like you're lifting out of the matrix. The matrix is where the confusion lies. You have to think beyond the matrix, and then you transcend the matrix, and then guess what? You're on top of the world, because you have now you're operating within the world, but you're not of the world. That's a spiritual saying, right? I am within the world, but I'm not of the world. What does that mean? You are part of dunya, but you're not. You're somewhere spiritual. We're spiritual beings before we are earthly beings. The more we can embrace our spiritual being, the more smoother of a life we're actually going to have in the earthly world. Because the earthly world is lower on the spectrum of energy. So the higher your energy is as a spiritual person, the more smoother your life is going to be in the earthly world. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's why it's recommended to kind of build your spirituality, because that's the ultimate way you can maneuver life in a very smooth way, because you're part of spirit. It's about embracing your spirit, and the spirit travels beyond dimensions, beyond the concrete world. The world is very concrete. Guess what? The spirit is not. The spirit is like that water. The spirit can maneuver and is malleable and goes through the cracks and goes through wherever there's blocks. It goes through those. So the more we can embrace that spirit, that spiritual side of us, the more we can have a very smoother transition in our lives that creates confusion. Confusion attracts more confusion. That's the algebra of life. So confusion plus peaceful mind equals opening. Confusion plus confusion equals confusion.
Yeah,
more
we need
confusion.
We need to write
double
the
confusion.
formulas.
Yeah, confusion plus confusion equals 2 times confusion. You see? Yes, it is a formula. It's so funny how that works. And certain things eliminate each other, like in algebra. You got things that eliminate each other, certain numbers. It's just like that. It's like energy. You play on bad energy, good energy. The good energy eats up the bad energy like Pac-Man, and then you got... You see? It's so simple. These higher realities, it's so funny how they're so simple, but they're so hard to do, to practice, to put in practice on a daily. So it's like, what just happened to me? Did I just go from advanced to like a kindergartner in my I feel like a kindergartner every day in my spiritual progress sometimes, because I always have to go back to the basics. The structure of the molecules, it's the structure of how the reality works. If you start to understand that, I think it really helps to break through those barriers of confusion in our lives, I think. I think if you are going to study anything, study the universal principles and how reality really works. And I think you'll really start to understand how to maneuver and how everything is so ironic and paradoxical and opposites work together and good works with the bad and then you'll be like, oh, I'm all in. A lot of us have shame about going all in with life. I think we're holding back and having a good experience in this life. And I think a lot of us are programmed religiously to think that this life is not for us, that this world is not for us. I grew up learning that no, we can't be part of dunya. It distracts us. The more you think that, hey, guess what? The more you're going to see bad in dunya. You're going to be like, hey, that's what you believe, that dunya is bad? Okay, then, yeah, here, I'll show you how dunya is bad. But dunya is not bad. And I'm trying to teach my deprogram my kids to think this too, because I feel like it's not a Sufi saying, but it's something that's kind of preached within the community for a long time, that don't be part of dunya, just let go of dunya. What is that supposed to mean? You're actually supposed to, when you awaken and you embrace everything, guess what? You're more involved with the world than you ever been. So you got to be more present with the world than you've ever been. So yeah, exactly. The thing about it's more about attachments. Mai said, definitely. There's a difference between being attached to that dunya and not being attached, for sure. Like, hey, I had to let go of my big house, live in a 1-bedroom. I live in a 1-bedroom with my son. I'm okay with it. Hey, I'm happy. I'm not saying that it's such a small little place. I decorated really nicely. I feel like it's my home. But yeah, definitely you can't be attached. If you lose something, okay, you lost it, move on. But then guess what? Like, the more you're attached to dunya, the more it seems to come to you in some strange, odd way. It's funny. You're not attached to money. Oh, it just naturally, easily comes to you. The more you chase dunya, the more actually it runs away from you. Like that saying, you chase your shadow, the more it runs away. It's like dunya. The shadow is like dunya. You chase it, the more it goes away. The more you detach from it, and this applies to men too. Hey, the more you detach from anybody, you're like, hey, I'm here sitting on my crown. You can call me or come to me if you need to. If you think, you attract that person back, right? You attract that money, or you attract that good experience. Not by chasing it. And chasing is obviously a form of fear. So the other person or the situation that you're trying to gain is going to sense fear. And guess what? You're going to push it more away by your energy of fear, your energy of confusion, or bringing in, like, trying to fix the problem. When all you got to do is relax, go have your cup of tea, watch some TV, forget about it, and hey, guess what? It resolved by itself. Hey, wasn't that easy? Hey, I got therapy for you. Go have a cup of tea, and then yeah. Don't have a tasbih, because tasbih you might start wallowing on your problems. Be like, oh, I got this problem. To try to do something that's fun, okay? That something that you find that's fun to you. Go do that, and guess what? Your problem has already been solved, because you forgot about that problem. That's the secret of confusion. Forget about the confusion and it will vanish like magic.
That's beautifully simplified. I
Yeah,
really appreciate
sorcerer.
that.
Yeah, you got to be that sorcerer and eliminate it. It's gone.
Yeah, you're the
We have the
sorcerer.
power to do it, actually. It's so funny. We have the power to ching, the confusion is gone. Most of the time it's in our minds, and we have the power to vanish it at a blink of a hat, put a hat on it, it's disappeared. Voila. The rabbit is gone.
Exactly. And now this new
Oh.
rabbit's gonna pop out of the hat, and that's a poem by our Mavlana Rumi.
Yay.
Louisa, would you like to give us the reading that would lead us to the penning?
Yes, absolutely. Maybe we can do a real sort of quick and efficient penning so we don't go over our promised time too much. What about 5 minutes or something? Is everyone still down?
Yeah, we'll give 5 minutes of penning time, and then we'll have the recital after, meaning
What is
the sharing.
Well, whichever. I can also recite it and we pen whichever.
No, meaning go ahead and recite it, but then they will
the
share the
recital of
poem.
the pennings.
Yeah, unless
Okay,
you're
if
not in
anyone
the
needs to
flow.
go though, then I mean, we've
Of
already gone over
course,
time. So,
of course.
but yes, by Maulana Rumi. If you want what visible reality can give, you're an employee. If you want the unseen world, you're not living with your truth. Both wishes are foolish, but you'll be forgiven for forgetting that what you really want is love's confusing joy.
So what is the penning part? Do we supposed to take that and reflect on it in some way and write something?
Yeah, just anything that comes to mind from this, from your heart.
Oh, okay.
Is there someone who would like to share?
I will if no one else wants to, but I'll let others and someone else give a chance.
No, go ahead. Start, please.
Okay, well, I haven't written like this in a long time, so you got me to write. So it goes like, embrace love in all its form. Don't ever be a barrier to love. Love will take you places you have never dreamed of. Love is pure joy and pleasure. Manifest from a place of love. Be and it shall be. Love dissolves confusion and makes us one with pure reality, divine will of the highest energy. Love embraces the vast spectrum of reality. The more we love, the more we integrate all that is and embrace harmony. Confusion dissolves in the face of love, and the material bows at your feet in submission to the will of you and your ultimate destiny. That's it.
Can you read the lines before you mention the word material?
I said, the more we love, the more we integrate all that is and embrace harmony. Confusion dissolves in the face of love, and the material bows at your feet in submission to the will of you and your ultimate destiny. Yeah, I actually didn't realize it rhymes. It goes with my painting with my love portal. That it's the energy that allows you to just, it's like a portal, like a Kaaba, where you can enter it anytime, as long as you're in a state of love. It's instantaneous. It's magical. But getting to the place of love is the hardest part. Once you get to it, yes, it is instant, but most of us struggle to get to that place of having love, to always alchemize into a state of love. That's the kind of practice I think we're trying to get better and better at. Boy, does the brain come in the way sometimes, though. That's why the brain to the heart. What is the heart? Heart is always loving. Heart sees from a place of love. The brain, not so much. The brain is where the ego is. And the ego is like, are you sure this is not right? This could be like this. This could be better.
Thank you for those potent words. Does anyone else want to share?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Sana. Today I woke up and the first words in my head were disintegration, and I was like, positive disintegration. So this is, I don't know what that meant, and then I looked it up and my mind started to think about what it meant.
Oh yeah, disintegration. Yeah, that happens sometimes. I've heard certain words pop up and I've never heard them before. And then I'll look them up and be like, okay, this is what I got to do. Okay.
It's about like basically redefining who you are and like letting everything, you know, and finding your unique self and like letting anxiety play its role, because anxiety is there to help.
Yeah, definitely. And anxiety is usually stemmed in a certain identity that we've forced our way to try to implement. You know, trying to live up to a certain identity is what creates anxiety for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'll share the penning. Bismillah. The unseen is often lying to get you away from dying by really taking a look at all you've buried in the grave not yet due, How do you even claim to be alive? Because you have Zainab by your side? Is this true? How is she? Who shamed your body? What is love's confusing joy? Not this reality, now that I'm unemployed. You, the perfect architect, pulling the rug to show, fairy dust at the bodies on earth. Welcome, welcome again and again, each heart undisturbed, seeing you tucked inside yourself. Hear your whispering, ahlan wa ahlan, ahlan wa sahlan. Love's confusing joy. I cannot ask you to depend on this reality. So the unseen is sent. The living are dead or the dead living. We are all together, beating at a carpet, perfectly weaved, all of our stories threaded so we can hold on to it, not each other, but in holding to it, hold each other. Let's fly away and dance in a trance on this magic carpet ride.
I love that carpet part.
Someone want to go next?
Love is a seductress, holding a promise, donning the most enticing gown. Just when you think you have overcome the wish, she appears more tantalizing, enjoining one to step in and drown. What else would the thirsty wanderer want? Stability is sought in the promise, then detachment comes to tie one down. What a pit, deep, dark, silent, still. A surprise hard to resist. This confusing joy has got the innocent heart hitch. How to anticipate love in the realm of imagination without getting sick. Not to blame love, but love.
Not to blame love, but love.
Yeah, I love that.
Confusion.
I think a lot of us have shame around feeling love, the barriers that we put towards embracing love in some sort of way.
I just feel that, you know, the thing that I also find we all face and I face is that when we're like trying to get close to someone, that is the exact point when you start to feel all the insecurities rising up. But when that is not happening, you don't even think you have any insecurity. So that's really hard to
Yeah,
navigate.
because the love is a very potent energy. So when it comes in your field, guess what it does? It brings up all your impurities. It brings up your insecurities. Love is like the magic potion of alchemy, right? It brings up all the kind of sediments that we didn't know we had. This reminds me of when, oh man, when love hit me, I was like, what? I didn't even know I had these problems until now. It just boils you up like it, because it's such a high frequency energy. It like brings up all these like things. It's like, oh my God, where are these coming from? They were sitting dormant all this time, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's next? Thank you for that. Who do we have left? We have Wisat, we have Noor. Anybody wishing to share anything? Moi? Khalas. Okay. Love's confusing joy indeed. Isn't love in life the greatest trickster? I have found interpretation of ABC as the cause of confusion. We are confused when our perception assumes to quantify hypothesize, adding salt and pepper, a tad of indigenous honey to qualify as good or bad. Let your life be the ultimate scripture, so to trust in the word and the unfolding as perfectly divine. Worry, fear, ideal outcomes, expectations is worrisome.
Yeah.
Are you
Is
finished?
that it?
Are you
Book is-
frozen?
Sorry.
No, because
Am I
your camera froze, so I wondered were you finished? Or
Oh,
was
it's Indian internet.
oh.
Oh, you said worrisome and then you
Worrisome.
froze.
Okay, sorry. Let me just go back.
We're-
Worrisome, huh? Worrisome, worrisome. Oh my God. Are you sure I said worrisome?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said expectation.
Oh, right,
or
right.
worry, what-
Yeah. Okay. Worry, fear, ideal outcomes, expectations is worrisome. I speak to myself. Let these entities of identities and ideals akin to idols dissipate while opinions and editing of your book is no one's business. So to free thee from confusion of the misinterpretation of your reality. Now, I could care less if this makes sense, but it made sense to me.
I know, right?
It's my stuff. We don't believe in editing. Even in the publishing work we do not edit. We can
edit
just
some.
we
We do
no
edit.
we edit by
We're not just
fixing spelling
throwing out
errors,
stuff.
but we never say don't keep this and don't do that. That is
Yeah.
not allowed in our philosophy. Next.
I think Catherine's Journey, the one that we worked on, was a novel. So it required a lot of editing. But when
Yeah.
it comes to poetry and certain things, channels like that, then you don't edit. Like my whole book, I have my book actually right here. My whole book actually is not edited. It's just straight from the channeling over the years. And I just straight put in a book, you know,
Beautiful.
spelling errors, maybe from in British version to English, that was the issue, but other than that.
Noor, you're looking like you're almost on your way to start working. You want to share before you have to clock
I
off?
don't really have like one to share. I just wrote a little bit. Because I was trying to figure out about confusion. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Seeking love's confusing joy. Joy, love confuses when others come and play. To be dazed in expansion, and there you have it. Seeing what constricts. Realizing what constricts and when I'm avoiding it. It might be deflecting, but maneuvering with easy ways to do things. How tired, how so, how some. What makes me expand time soothing? Clarity on what makes me expand? Having time and things that are soothing. Clarity, unfiltered, bold, stomping, goofy, an unexpected phenomenon. Passionate, deliberate, worthy, honest, valuing, seeing, present. Y'all left room thinking I was oh so.
You wrote a lot.
I did.
What are you talking about?
Well, it's like, it's just like a lot of words, but it's not like a lot.
What was your
But-
last sentence? Oh,
Oh,
you're
it's
so
still
crazy? Oh. Oh, me so crazy.
Oh, you know, well, because I was yeah, because I went somewhere with it. But anyways, be so crazy. Yeah, jokes on you. I might be crazy and a lot of things. I wrote a lot of things, but I speak and I try to work my way out of confusion with grace, humility, respect, seizing. You are seizing me like I am you, taking a hold of account of each other at the end. Okay.
The end.
Yeah, that wasn't nothing at all.
Yeah. I saw your tiger pose this morning. You have she has a cheetah sitting on sleeping on a tree, avoiding all the predators from underneath, and it sleeps on the tree. That was a cute little metaphor to protect itself. And you had it like twice. You had like one image, and you had another image of the cheetah sleeping on the branch high up. That's kind of how we are with love. It's like as long as we have that love, we're high up there where the predators aren't, you know, we're just protected. Sleeping also is a form of being in peace, by the way.
Okay.
So yeah, you can't seem to figure it out in a waking state, then go to sleep.
I didn't know I was off of mute.
Be like the panda bears, you know, just take it easy. Do we have, thank you so much, Noor. And we have Wisat, no, you're done. You're just a CIA agent here. Yeah, good. Okay, so basically, you know, we've had a wonderful session, and for many of us, we could just, you know, continue the whole evening through in my case, and really appreciate your, you know, presence and all that you've shared, Sana. And as always, thank you so much. And for everyone who's, you know, here, thank you from Louisa and I. And it's always amazing. It's just nice. Inshallah, we leave with a lightheartedness and like you said, be in flow.
Yeah, and trust more.
Trust, yes, trust.
Trust in an outer higher manifestation, not so much on ourselves. Humble trust, then that comes to help us more. Yeah.
So you were the Confucius for us here today. Thank you so much.
I know, that's when I'm like, Confucius, yes. Or is it about confusion? I guess
well,
together.
you know, we play with words.
We were channeling the Confucius energy today, that big fat old man, Buddha man today.
Yeah. Yeah.
He came through. We remembered him and we called him in. Yeah, Confucian. Come in.
He's prophet of the Far East.
Yeah, Sheikh Confucian.
Yeah, Hazrati. Inshallah.
Sayyidi Madad, Confucian.
Yeah, of course. We have to add him to the, you know, to the.
Hey, you say someone holy name, they come. I believe in that. Their spirit comes.
Yeah.
So we believe in Sufism. You say a holy saint's name, they appear. So Confucian it was today, which resolving our dilemma of confusion. The end.
Yep. The end. So with love to each and everyone here and to all those who are watching, peace, salams.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Peace within, so without, to all of you. Bye.